Welcome everyone to the REWIRE Masterclass. I'm super excited to be here teaching this to you guys today because it is one of the things that our clients love the most. And I've taught it at a retreat before, and I know everyone loved it. And I really thought, why not just bring this exercise to you guys instead of it smushed into a giant masterclass? We're going to make a masterclass just around rewiring the brain for success. So if you don't know me yet, hello, I'm Heather Lee Chapman, your holistic transformation coach for conscious entrepreneurs, helping you increase your income, your impact, and your influence through mindset, skill set, high performance habits, accountability, and community. And today we are going to be talking about the unconscious mind, rewiring our thoughts, so reframing our thoughts so we can rewire our brain for success. So for many people, we wonder why we maybe get the same results over and over again, or why we may try so hard to get something and it doesn't happen, or why so many people's ideas and dreams die inside of them. And that all has to do with our unconscious mind. And we're going to explain that today. But before we even dive in to the tools and techniques, I want everyone just to start dreaming. One of my favorite things to do with my clients and all my connections is to help people get into the feeling of possibility and get into a state of possibility. So maybe you've had a busy day already and lots is going on and lots is in your mind. I want you just to let that go for a moment. Just let everything go. And I want you to imagine I waved a magic wand and said you could be, do, or have whatever it is that you truly desire. And I want you to truly allow yourself to get into a state of possibility and allow yourself to dream. So if there was one thing you wanted the most right now, what would that be? If you could have one thing you wanted the most right now, what would that be? And pause and think about that for a second. Anything. You can have whatever you want. What's the one thing that's going to make the biggest difference for you right now in your life? And we're going to follow along in the workbook here. So let's fill that out in the workbook. What is that one thing that's going to make the biggest difference for you right now? So what is the one thing you want the most? We're going to start to design what I like to call your dream state. Now, if you are following along in the workbook, I did ask you to write out 3 things you wish to gain from this workshop, always setting your intention, and then write 3 things you're grateful for and why. So 3 gratitudes. There is so much magic in the power of gratitude. So if you haven't done that yet, you can go ahead and fill that out. That's important because that's going to begin to shift our state into a state of gratitude and abundance. And we attract what we're being. So if we're being a negative Nancy, we attract negativity. And if we can be in a state of gratitude, we can attract more things to be grateful for. And getting into this state of gratitude is going to help you attract that dream state. If there was one tool you take from this entire masterclass, is gratitude can change your life. And the more you begin to actually focus on gratitude, the more you begin to rewire the parts of your brain that will start to search for more things, to show you more things to be grateful for. If you focus on the negativity, then you're strengthening that part of the brain. The neurons that fire together wire together. So what you focus on grows. And where your focus goes, your brain is filtering information and showing you more about what your focus is. So why not focus more on gratitude and being in a dream state? So we often are in a state of fear, worry, doubt, negativity. And what I want you to do is begin to step into a dream state. So if you're just joining us in the Zoom room, I'm going to drop the workbook for you there. I would love for you to follow along and fill out the workbook because the magic is in doing the work. And so thank you so much for being here with us today. So we are just working on creating a dream state. a state of possibility, a state of abundance, a state of dreaming. So I said, if you could be, do, or have whatever it is that you truly desire, what would that be? What's that number one thing that's going to make the biggest difference for you in your life right now? And I want you to write it down. You are 25% more likely to achieve your goals when you write them down daily. And when you write them down daily and review them regularly, you can achieve it 40% quicker. So go ahead, write that down. And now I want to ask you why you want this. One of my favorite master NLP practitioners is Simon Sinek, and he has a book called Start With Why. And he even talks about the neuroscience behind the importance of having your why associated with your goals. Because when things come your way, you can write the affirmation, like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have. But what if I asked you a question? Why do you want that? That's when the feeling comes in, and the feeling is the secret. And so, what do you want the most right now, and why do you want it? The why is the emotion. It is the language of your unconscious mind. And then I also asked you, what would that look and feel like to have? So let's just pause for a second. You have that thing you want the most right now, that thing that's going to make the biggest difference for you right now. What is it? Why do you want it? And what would that actually look and feel like? So I want you to cast yourself out into the future, to the moment of the time when you realize you've achieved this goal. How do you know you've achieved it? What does it look like? What does it feel like to have it? And then the next question is, what will this allow for you? There is so much magic in this question, because often it's not necessarily the goal that we want, it's what the goal allows. So what does that goal allow for you? What would it create for you? Who could you be? What could you do? What could you have? What would be different now that you've achieved this goal? And I really want you to begin to create a dream state. So let's all pause together. I want you to take yourself to the moment you know you've achieved this goal. And just play a game with me. Everything worked out. It's amazing. You got it. You're here right now. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you sense? What is this now allowing for you? What is the definitive moment you realized you achieved this goal? And start to create a picture in your mind, because your mind thinks in pictures and it comes to pass. Environment is but our looking glass. And so if we take a look at our current results, it'll tell us where our thinking has been previously. So create a picture in your mind, a dream state where you have that number one thing you want the most. Get really connected to why this is important to you, what it would look like, what it would feel like, and what it allows for you. And begin to create a picture and add more and more detail. You can return to this picture daily. And in fact, at the end of this workbook, there is a beautiful goal card that you could print out, or you can use a cue card. And I dare you to put your goal on it. And every time you touch, see, feel that goal card, the picture of that goal achieved is now going to come onto the forefront of your mind. And your brain is going to begin to rewire for you to show you evidence in your reality of how you can achieve that goal. And what that's also going to do for you is have your thoughts be more on the goal achieved. And what that's going to do for you is you're going to have more thoughts that you wouldn't have if you didn't achieve the goal. They say, People who earn $1 million don't think the same way of people who earn $100,000, and people who earn $50,000 a year are earning $50,000 a year because they're not having thoughts of somebody who earns $1 million a year. And so we need to start to have our thoughts more than 51% on what it would look like, feel like to be, do, and have this goal. And so every thought that you have creates a thought impulse. If you hold it for 17 to 70 seconds, it creates a thought impulse, an energy impulse that goes into the ether and works with the universal laws or the law of attraction to attract back more like things, the right people, places, circumstances, and opportunities. Now, don't you want things to go smoother for you? Then that's going to require you to have more of your thoughts on what it is you desire and less on what you don't. And I just want to make a significant difference here in the thoughts of the goal. It's essential we're coming from that point and state of the goal achieved, not from where is it, the state of seeking and lacking. Because for a lot of people, sometimes you think, I'm always thinking about my goal. What is she talking about? And often we're thinking about, where is it? Why isn't it here yet? And I bet you're doing amazing. I bet where you are right now was probably once a goal for you. And then you're an amazing, ambitious person and you set another goal. And now you're wondering, why isn't it here yet? And instead of thinking about your goal from a state of seeking, we want to think about the goal from a state of achievement. As Neville Goddard would say, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And so let's all create that dream state, because nothing happens if you don't know what you want. So first thing to start rewiring your brain for success is to know what it is that you truly desire and have that as a burning desire. That's where your why comes in. And that's going to be so important for you to be able to move yourself forward and to go to where you desire instead of to be wandering aimlessly and taking whatever comes your way or living unconsciously by default. Let's become conscious co-creators and live life by design. And so now that you've got your dream state, let's talk about what happens next. So we have a conscious and an unconscious mind. And our unconscious mind is actually what's running the show. So 98% of between 90 to about 98% of most of your thoughts, feelings, and actions are habitual and unconscious. So before the age of 7, you were a blank slate. And the model of the world that you grew up in created your computer programming, your mental filters to operate from. Your mental filter around what money means to you. Is it good or is it bad? What love means to you, what health looks like for you, all these different topics that we have in our life, you have a filter of what that is what it's meant to look like, feel like, a blueprint in your unconscious mind, a programming that you were given. Now, in your deep unconscious mind, below that, there's in your higher self, there is a blueprint of the perfect version of you. Everything's perfect, whole, and complete. And then well-meaning parents, teachers, society, mentors, what have you, came in and started to instill their beliefs on top of that and give you new programming. You came in perfect, whole, and complete, but then somebody said money doesn't grow on trees. And then somebody said it's hard to be an entrepreneur. And then somebody said, oh, skinny people aren't healthy, or whatever the limiting beliefs that have been given to you that start to create your programming that we then project unconsciously into the world. And so all the information that is coming in on a regular basis, it goes through these filters in your unconscious mind. They get deleted, distorted, and generalized based on your programming. And so you thought you woke up a free being today, but you actually woke up to your programming. And that's really what's running the show. So let's all come back to consciousness right now and be the operator of our thoughts instead of letting our unconscious mind run the show. Now, your conscious mind is going to, you pull to a stop sign, are you going to turn right or are you going to turn left? It's making decisions for you as well, but most of it is done unconsciously. And so I want you to begin to understand that we need to begin to change the programming. Now, I'm so grateful that I get to do this with clients through neuro-linguistics programming, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy. These are three amazing tools that I love to do with clients to help them transform their programming so their results can begin to change. And we're going to teach you how to do an auto-suggestion reframing NLP exercise today so you can begin to do it yourself regularly. And first, it's going to require you to be conscious and aware of the thoughts. So we have a conscious and an unconscious mind. The next part of the workbook says, what is psychocybernetics? So in your unconscious mind, you have a psychocybernetics operating system. You have an image of who you believe you are: skinny, fat, healthy, unhealthy, rich, poor, mean, happy, a good person, a bad person. You have a self-image. And we can never grow beyond this self-image unless we change it in the unconscious mind. Now, a super great book I highly recommend is called Psychocybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. He was a plastic surgeon and he was wondering why he could do surgery for one person, change one thing, and their whole life changed. Yet for somebody else, he would do 10 surgeries and still nothing changed. And he realized that we have two images, one that we actually our deep unconscious self-image of ourselves, and then an image of ourselves that we project to the world. Now, of course, that unconscious self-image is going to begin to seep and show up into the external part of ourselves that we are showing, yet we often hide it. And it often is limiting us. So maybe you believe that your max revenue is 6 figures and you'd like to have a new self-image of being a 7-figure business owner. Maybe you have a self-image of being unhealthy and you'd like to have an image of being healthy. Maybe you have a self-image of not being enough and you'd really like to know that you are more than enough, perfect, whole, and complete, and capable, worthy, and deserving of achieving all you desire and more. And so we need to begin to start to change the thoughts and the self-image in the unconscious mind to begin to change the external results. And so the main key thing in psychocybernetics is that that internal operating system will slowly keep bringing you back to the same results over and over again. So you decided you're going to 7 figures from 6 figures, or you decided you're going from 5 figures to 6 figures, or you decided you're going from an employee to an entrepreneur. And perhaps that is against your unconscious self-image. And so when you go to get that new goal, you will unconsciously have thoughts, feelings, actions, beliefs, and habits that will self-sabotage you to bring you back to the same results over and over again. The name of the book is Psychocybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And actually, I have it right here. So this is the book. Really interesting. Also have it on Audible if you wanted, if you prefer to listen. So what he's saying in there is that your current self-image is like your upper glass ceiling. You're very welcome. It's your upper glass ceiling, is what I like to call it. And we don't know it's there. And we're trying to keep going past it. And yet something keeps bringing us back to get the same results over and over again, whether it's in our relationships, in our business, in our health, in our finances. Whatever those unconscious upper limits of are in your self-image is a glass ceiling that we don't see. And so the psycho-cybernetics operating system says, hey, I see you going for 7 figures, yet our internal image is only of 6. So maybe 1 month you're off and you're on your way, and then you realize you're almost there, and then something happens to bring you back to the same results over and over again. Now, I can speak to this because this is exactly what I went through for many years before I learned this information. I would almost break my 6-figure glass ceiling, and then I would have a concussion. I would almost break my 6-figure glass ceiling, and then I would have a concussion. So the joke was, how many times did I need to get hit on the head before I would start to work smarter instead of harder? I literally had no more time to train. I was working 18-hour days, 7 days a week, 3 businesses, 3 contracts, volunteering, literally, physically couldn't work any harder. And I wanted to smash that glass ceiling, but doing more in the physical wasn't actually the answer. It was actually working with the unconscious mind, changing the programming, changing the self-image. And once I changed that glass ceiling, my results began to change. My relationships, my health, my relationship with myself, my business, my finances, and how I began to show up in the world was different. And all of it was because of the unconscious work that I started to do. And of course, hypnosis, timeline therapy, much quicker. And what if I just told you, if you wrote things out regularly, your affirmations, and asked yourself the right questions, that you could change your results by using auto-suggestion, the spaced repetition of an idea or thought over time. Now, we know we're being auto-suggested all the time. It only takes about 2 to 7 suggestions to start to change your behavior. And that could be unconscious or conscious. And so that's why it's really important what environment you put yourself in, what you watch on the TV, on your social channels. What suggestions is your unconscious mind being given that is rewiring your brain? And is it for you or not for you? I still remember sitting in psychology class in first year university and learning about subliminal programming and how it's used in marketing. And I thought, they know about, now I know what it is, neurolinguistics programming, but they knew about it, and it's taught in marketing and it's used in marketing. That's why you see an ad 5 to 7 times. They're giving you the messages over and over again. And so 2 to 7 times you'll see an ad, and they're giving you suggestions that are going to start to change your behavior, unless you are consciously choosing to not accept that. And most ads are to tell you there's something not good enough about you, and this is why you need to buy this product. And so we need to begin to start to change the psycho-cybernetics and change the glass ceiling through auto-suggestion. Now, I really wanted to make sure that we talked about the putrefaction process or the transformation process today, because as soon as you go and decide on your goal, welcome to the transformation process. You've now decided on it. You now are you're doing inner work where you need to own your mind, because all the thoughts, the habits, the beliefs, the things are going to start to show up to have you stay the same. That's psycho-cybernetics. And the putrefaction process says you're currently here. When you decide to go on a goal over here, you jump into a process where the current version of you needs to be broken down, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your beliefs, and birth a new version of you. Because if you want to be over here with 7 figures, it's different thoughts, different feelings, and different actions than the 6 figures or the 5 versus the 6. And so it's important that we understand that as soon as we decide to go and get the goal, The magic is in the decision. If you don't decide, nothing happens. That things are going to show up to try to pull you out and keep you safe in the same. Part of your unconscious mind is your ego, and its job is to keep you safe in the same. And soon as you decide to step outside your comfort zone or go and get a different result or become a new and improved version of you, you've entered the putrefaction process and you begin to transform. But the psycho-cybernetics says, nope, you need to go back to where you were because that's safe in the same. And 80% of the population will always go back to where they were. But this is where dis-ease sets in, because the truth is the chicken can't go back in the egg. You've already decided you want it. You know it's there. You have this vision in your mind. And so it's going to require something of you to push through being uncomfortable, to get out onto the other side with the version of you with your goal achieved. And guess what? Then there's a new glass ceiling, and we get to do the same process over and over again. When you can begin to understand this framework, you can begin to understand that you decided on the goal, you're now working on the goal, and the inner work that you're going to do within your mind is so important to help you come out on the other side. You're going to start to be an observer of your thoughts and decide, is that positive or is that negative? Is that going to get me closer to my goal, or is that going to move me farther away from my goal? Because your unconscious mind would love to kick in, have you go on autopilot and come back to the same. But we're going to have to override that. And the first step in doing that is awareness of what is your current operating system actually saying to you. So what are your most dominating thoughts? And I want you to now start to think about, what are some of your most dominating thoughts that are not working for you? And if you want to start to see what have been some of your most dominating thoughts, you can simply look at your current results. It'll tell you where your thoughts, feelings, and actions have been in the past. So your thoughts create your feelings create your actions create your results. So if we don't change the thinking, we're going to have the same thoughts, feelings, actions, and results, and we stay in an unconscious habitual loop. So let's break it by start being conscious and choosing different thoughts. And we have to actually begin to replace the thoughts. So this is where we're going to use our 4-part reframing exercise. Step 1, be the observer of the thoughts. What of those thoughts are not working for you? Or what of your results are not working for you? There's no make wrong, nothing's good or bad, right or wrong, except for what you make it. It just is what it is. So you don't need to give it a meaning and start having a pity party, because sometimes when we start to shine a light on things, we start to make ourselves bad and wrong. So that's not what we're doing here. We're simply being an observer, knowing a programming has been going on for a while and we want to change the programming. So we have to start to observe, what is the current programming? And so what is your current operating system telling you that's not working for you? So what in your results would you like to see that be different? And I want you to start to write out a few things that you would like to see different. So first, we have to identify the contrast. Step 1, what's not working? And then step 2, my favorite question, what would you prefer? These are going to be your new affirmations. And so if it is being unhealthy, then you would prefer to be healthy. If it's being single, and maybe you would prefer to be in a loving, harmonious relationship with your ideal, compatible life partner. Maybe you are lacking in sales, and instead you would like to close daily sales of your premium paying clients that add massive value to your communities and have massive success. So we're going to start to observe in our mind and in our results what's not working. And then we're going to start to create new positive affirmations. And sometimes it's just the opposite of it. So there's the contrast, what's not working, and then what would you prefer? So that's part one and part two. And if you just did that regularly, you could reframe your brain on a regular basis. And remember, the neurons that fire together wire together. And the more you do this, the more you will start to strengthen the part of your brain that's going to be in a state of possibility and get you to what you want instead of stuck in fear, worry, and doubt. Now, the next two parts are some of my favorites. It's the lesson and the blessing. So the blessing is the gratitude. And the lesson is important because if we're stuck in unconscious habitual loops, we have to gather the positive learnings from the experience. Otherwise, guess what? We get to stay in the loop and we get to do it again. So I don't know how many times you want to learn those lessons. Let's start to be conscious co-creators, observe the thoughts, look at the contrast, decide what we prefer, and then gather what we need to learn from the experience. So perhaps it was that there's not enough sales. And so what you would prefer is daily sales. Or perhaps it is not having the right team. And what you would prefer is a team that runs like a well-oiled machine with and without you and leaves your customers with white glove service. And so what do you need to learn from these experiences? It could be simply that you now know what you want and you're going to focus on that. And there, I want you to go a little bit deeper. What do you need to learn about the experience? Oh, well, maybe you've been selling to the wrong ideal client, and that's why it's not closing. Maybe you're selling to your old level of client, and there's a new level of client, and it's been out of alignment. So now you're going to change your branding and your messaging and start reaching out to new ones. Maybe previously you worked with team members and you didn't set them up for success with the right standard operating procedures. And you thought you just throw them in and be like, fly. Then maybe you learned you need SOPs and you can set that up for next time. So we always want to gather the positive learnings. In timeline therapy, we access the unconscious mind. And what we do is switch the beliefs. And before we can switch the beliefs, we actually have to gather what are called the positive learnings, the positive I am statements. Maybe it is, I am a leader. I can run a team. I can run a team that helps me grow a 7-figure business. I can be the leader in the company. I can close daily sales. Maybe there's an old belief that you couldn't be an entrepreneur. Maybe it is, I can be a successful entrepreneur. Maybe you have a new type of business. And I understand this because I had an in-person business and practice for a decade. And all of a sudden I was going online coaching. It was a whole new world. I had to totally rewire my brain so that I could see, feel, and believe that I could thrive successfully online and globally and get out of a one-to-one coaching model and get into a one-to-many so I could increase my income and my impact. And that lesson I had to learn so many times. And the universe loves to even come and test you. So I remember when I was in the, just about to start switching fully online, and I was releasing clients, releasing contracts, and referrals kept coming in. And I thought, I'm literally trying to close this practice, and clients keep coming. And it was one of my mentors. I felt really inclined. A neurologist had referred someone to me, someone with an acquired brain injury. And I thought, really important that I serve this person. And it was one of my mentors that said, but aren't you going this way now, Heather? Why would you do this? That's not in alignment with where you're going. And I was like, she's right. Thank you. I felt obligated instead of going to where I truly desired to be. And we're able to move the client and refer them to somebody else and get somebody who'd be serving them more long-term in that. And I was able to go and launch online and close my in-person practice. So you will be amazed at when you decide and you go to do the things and you are stepping out of your comfort zone, that the universe will try to be like, oh, hey, come on back. Are you sure you want to go to get that thing? Are you sure you want to do that thing? Are you sure you're worthy of that thing? You could just come back here. It's comfortable, it's safe. You already know this, it's familiar. And instead, I want you guys to start getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's where your best life is for you. It's outside your comfort zone. So, what lessons do you need to learn from the experience so you can come out of the unconscious trauma loops and habitual unconscious loops that are getting you more and more of the same? Now, we said the language of the unconscious mind is emotion, energy in motion, or AKA your feelings that you're having. So I want you to now start to switch the energy around the experience. Maybe previously you were frustrated with something. Instead, how now can we be grateful for it? So, what can you now be grateful for about this experience? Again, it could be you're grateful that you now learned what you preferred. And it also might be that you're grateful that you went through that experience so that you could become a better leader, so that you could learn how not to run the team, so that you could learn. And you're grateful now that you know how you would prefer your team to show up, how you would prefer clients to show up regularly, or what type of clients you would prefer to work with. There was a point in time in the last couple of years where I thought I was going to change my business and start serving a different audience. And I took on a few clients, and only through that experience did I learn that it actually wasn't what I preferred. And I was really grateful for that opportunity to serve those clients and work with them, and also learn what it is that I prefer and how I would prefer my practice to look like. Remember, the magic is in the doing. Only through doing will we really learn what it is that we prefer. Many people will stay in the idea, thought, and planning stage and be stuck in excuses, reasons, and alibis of I could, but you've heard me say before, I call it the Santa sack of shit. We carry it around with us full of excuses, reasons, and alibis saying, I'd really like that, but let me reach into this and pull out one of my limiting beliefs, pull out one of my traumas, pull out one of my past negative experiences, pull out something somebody else told me why I shouldn't do it. And we have all these things that are holding us back, but only if we actually go and do the thing are we going to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what we like, what we don't like. Otherwise, it's all theoretical and made up in your mind. And I know we love to live in stories, but those stories we often tell ourselves aren't serving us. And so we need to get into that state of possibility, that state of gratitude, that state of learning. Because all successful people have solution-oriented mindsets. They come up against a challenge or an obstacle. They're like, great, there's something here for me to learn because I'm going to become a better version of me. I'm in that transformation process. And once I go through this, I can come out on the other side and be the person with the capacity to not only attain the goal, sustain the goal, and go beyond there. And that only happens in the breaking down of you and the building up of the new you. And that's only going to happen through the doing. So we got to get into action. We cannot stay stuck in the thought phase. We got to get ourselves moving. So our 4-part reframing exercise that you get to now use on a regular is, what is the contrast? So what's not working, whether it's your thoughts or your results. Number 2, what it is that you would prefer. These are your new positive affirmations that you're going to read, write, and say regularly to auto-suggest to yourself. I even encourage you to record it and listen to it regularly. And then you're going to gather the positive learnings that you need to get from the experience to come out of the unconscious loop. And then you're going to change the energy about the experience to a state of gratitude. So that is your 4 parts: the contrast, what you prefer, your lesson, and your blessing. That is your 4-part reframing exercise that you can now use regularly. And so I just want to talk about how our perception creates our reality and why it's also important for us to be using positive affirmations and the language that we choose. So, what does it mean to control our inner world regardless of our external circumstances? So, most people say, when I, then I'll. And all that is going to do is keep us stuck, safe, and the same. When I get the money, then I'll do the thing. You actually have to decide on the thing, get into action, then the money shows up, or the client show up, or the partner shows up. And so we have to begin to understand that we can create new external circumstances if we can own our mind and our thoughts and our feelings. Otherwise, our regular programming is going to go on over and over again and only create more of the same. And so your current circumstances and your past circumstances just are what they are. Nothing's good or bad, right or wrong, except for what you make it. It just is what it is. And now we are going to observe it and decide what it is that we prefer. And we're not going to let our current or past circumstances create more of the same in the future. We're going to use the 4-part reframing exercise to observe and decide what we prefer, gather the positive learnings and the blessings. Otherwise, we create more of the same unconsciously over and over again. And so, why is the language you choose and use to describe your reality so important? Because your thoughts and the language that you use are suggestions to your unconscious mind. And so, when we see something and we focus on the negative, we are suggesting that to our unconscious mind to create more of it, to be more of it, to have more of it. And instead, we would want to focus on what we prefer. I know for a lot of people, it's a new way of thinking. When I ask somebody what it is that you truly desire, they will often first tell me all the things they do not desire. And so I'll ask them again, well, what is it that you really want? And they'll again tell me in different ways what it is that they don't want. And then I will often say, well, if you keep focusing on that, you're going to get more of the same. So let's let that go. And instead, let's look at what it is that you'd actually prefer from that. So your language is creating your reality. It is also causing a physiological response in your body, and it is suggesting things to your unconscious mind. So if you don't want rain, ask for sunshine. If you don't want to be broke, talk about abundance. If you don't want to be unhealthy, speak about health. Remember, the person who's healthy is having thoughts of a healthy person. They see themselves healthy. And the person who is unhealthy has thoughts of that an unhealthy person would have, and they see themselves as unhealthy, and thus it stays that way. So instead, we're going to start to choose the positive, what we prefer, and choose the language we describe ourselves with, our experience with, our affirmations with, in a positive way. And when you change your language, you can truly change your life. In neurolinguistics programming, the English language speaks very much in double negatives, so that we even have an extra lesson. A lot of older languages don't speak in double negatives, so they don't understand why we would say, I don't want rain. They would just simply ask for sunshine. And so for yourself, start to be an observer of where you are speaking double negatives, saying, I don't want, and then the negative thing you don't want. Instead, just say what it is that you would prefer. Your language that you choose is giving meaning to your experience, and that is creating your reality. Otherwise, everything just is what it is, and then you get to give it a meaning. And so, what meaning are you going to choose to give to your experience, and what language are you using to create that? And then last but not least, why is it important to expect the best? For so many people, it's crazy. They literally, and I mean, I know in our community, it's not like this at all. And when I go into the world and I hear somebody, this happened and then this happened, they're talking about all the negative things. And then they're like, of course, this happened. And I'm like, well, you expected. They're like, oh, it always happens this way for me. I'm like, so you're expecting it, thus you get it. From neuroscience to quantum physics, this is true. And so when we begin to expect the best, not only are we starting to get ourselves into a state of possibility, you're actually going to start to prepare yourself to receive it. You start to act as if. You start to create the containers in your life for things to flow to. And if you are not prepared, opportunities may come your way and pass right by you. Maybe it will pass on by because you didn't expect it and you didn't even see it, or you weren't prepared for it. So it is actually magic to expect the best. They call it the law of observation. When we observe things, we have an energy or an expectation or a thought about the experience that actually can impact the quantum physics and the particles. And so when we observe something, the expectation of how we expect things to behave will happen. And so, if you, as the observer of your reality, are impacting your results because of what you are expecting on a quantum level, what magic could you create if from this moment forward, just what if everything worked out for you? And what if you expected the best? And what if just for today, you could expect magic and miracles? Just for today, just try it on. Just what if? What if you played the what if game? What if everything went right? Instead of what if everything went wrong? And this is the power of your thoughts and rewiring your brain for success so that you can truly become a conscious co creator and live life by design instead of by default. And so, if you would like to keep this magic going, I would like to invite you to a brand new offer, first time announcing it, custom hypnosis sessions. I've previously only done this with our mastery mentorship clients. And now I'm offering custom hypnosis sessions for individuals. So, with this, we are going to meet. We're going to go through something like this workbook and look at what's not working. What's that number one thing you want? What's not working for you? We're going to get down to the true limiting beliefs. I will ask you a series of questions to get down to the true limiting beliefs that have you stuck, stopped, and getting the same. Then we're going to work on what you prefer and create new positive affirmations. And then right then and there, I will create a hypnosis for you. So you will get to experience it. We will record it. And then it is yours. And then the more you listen to it and auto suggest it to your unconscious mind, the more your brain will begin to rewire for success, and the more your results will change. And so when we use hypnosis, I know for a lot of people, because the first time I learned about hypnosis, I was in my first year of university. It was like the event at the bar, right? There was a hypnotherapist, and you could go and get up on stage. And I thought, I'm not even going. I wouldn't dare let someone hypnotize me and get up on the stage and cluck like a chicken. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. All of this is us using language to and a pace in how we say it to access a different brainwave state, your theta brainwave state, to access your unconscious mind so that it will begin to accept these suggestions we are giving to it through hypnosis. So we do an induction first, which is just a series of beautiful words put together to help you get fully relaxed and access that theta state. and then we will read your affirmations over and over again for you. And we do this with beautiful relaxation music in the background. We record it for you, and you get to have that for yourself and listen to it over and over again and begin to auto-suggest these new possibilities and begin to truly rewire your brain for success. So I'm super excited because I just did this the other week with somebody, and literally immediately after, she sent me a message showing me all the things that started to show up and change for her in her life. So much that she said she'd listened to it every single day for the week and how much it was making a difference for her. Now, this is super exciting because it's the first time I'm offering it as its own session and not in a package. So I'm super excited to be offering custom hypnosis sessions for you guys. And so I will invite you to reach out to myself, and can do a consultation call or a free strategy call and see if it's a fit for you. And we'll also drop the link below so you could, if you're ready, you could get started right away. And I'm super excited to be able to help and support all of you guys. And of course, if that's not for you, totally okay. We run regular events where we teach so much for free, because ignorance is not bliss and ignorance is lack of knowledge. And if you truly want to change and transform and own your life by design, you have to study, which means you have to learn, which means you have to begin to learn the uncommon knowledge that 80% of the population doesn't even know they don't know. And that's why they will stay the same and safe. And that's great if that's for them. And if it's not for you and you do want something different, definitely book that hypnosis session. Keep coming back to our events, and know we've got so many more mini masterclasses like this coming your way, because I've got so many ideas that I would like to share and teach with you guys, because I know the more conscious co-creators who believe in unity, consciousness, and peace in heaven on earth, who can do this work and learn and grow together, the better the world can be. And right now, we need you light workers to stand up, stand proud, step into your power, step into your greatness, and own it. And so last but not least, we have our homework. So I always like to give tasks. This is how we integrate, right, the learnings. So you're going to continue, when we leave here, you're going to continue to observe your thoughts. Are they positive or are they negative? Do they make you feel good or not? If they don't, we want to switch and focus on what we want. So start to make a note of those negative thoughts you have. The first step of transformation is awareness. What is your current conditioning saying to you? And remember, you can always, always reach for a better feeling thought. The moment that negative thought comes in, cancel it and come back to that attitude of gratitude. Observe what you currently expect, and instead start to expect the best and expect magic and miracles. And begin to use the 4-part reframing exercise. So begin to make a list of those negative beliefs and what's not working for you. And then decide what you would prefer. What are the lessons you need to learn? And what is the blessing? So what can you be grateful for about this experience? And I want you to take your goal from today and put it on your goal card and carry that with you with the picture of your goal achieved on your mind. So remember, what's that one thing that's going to make the biggest difference for you right now? What would it look like and feel like to have it? And why is it important to you? And what would it allow for you? And when you decide on it, those negative thoughts are going to come in to keep you safe in the same. And instead, you're going to use this 4-part reframing exercise to begin to rewire your brain for success so that you can create more abundance, peace, happiness, and fulfillment in your life. So thank you guys so much for joining us at our brand new first ever REWIRE Masterclass. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned tons, and I can't wait to see all of you inside in a hypnosis session. Now, I almost forgot, you do get sign-up bonuses when you purchase a hypnosis session. So we have 2 sign-up bonuses for you guys. A follow-up call with me, amazing, a check-in to make sure we're integrating, And you're going to get 3 months access to Success Principle Society. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm so glad you enjoyed the session. Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for your energy and thank you for being here. And thank you for being you and one of the conscious co-creators in this world. So you're amazing. So let's talk about success. Let's talk about Success Principle Society. What a tongue twister. It is my favorite thing where we teach our 6 course self-mastery lessons that you get to study independently. And we meet twice a month for a mastermind to support you. These are our 6 course self-mastery lessons that all of our clients study, from our high-end VIP clients to right down to all of our offers. Everybody studies these 6 core lessons because this is going to give you the knowledge, the framework to begin to truly change your results and change your life, that you can rinse and repeat over and over again, and give you the knowledge to begin to understand how you work, how your brain works, how to change it, how to change your results. So we go through own your goal, own your vision, own your self-image, own your mindset, own your high performance, and own your holistic wellness. And along with those 6 core self-mastery lessons, you get a mastermind, which is twice a month. And you will also get access to our VIP events when we have guest speakers. And I am setting up a super cool new one for you guys for next quarter. And I'm so excited. And that would also make you an alumni, which means you get access to all of our future alumni and VIP events as well. So super excited to offer these bonuses for you guys when you purchase the hypnosis session. And I'm super excited to see you on the inside. So you would get 3 months access to Success Principle Society so that we can help you integrate it and keep expanding and keep growing beyond the hypnosis session. So this is my gift for you. I love you guys. Expect magic and miracles. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, what is the best that can happen? We'll see you guys at our next event. And if you have any questions at all, send me a DM or book a free call, and let's keep things moving because the magic is in the doing. Stay happy, healthy, wealthy, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.